Hey, I'm Justin Petrossi, and I'm the featured artist down at New Zone, and I'm a photographer who has my work here on display. I didn't have any traditional art training, and I think I really just got into photography through mostly just having a phone and seeing cool photos and wanting to emulate those things, and then wanting to do it in better and bigger ways. That's how you move your way up to a proper camera. I'm initially drawn to strong compositions a lot of the time, and a lot of my work, especially in this show, features works that are, after dark, low light situations. So they're usually shot on a tripod, composition focused a lot of the time. This one has strong lines, both vertically with some of the reflections and horizontally with a lot of the other things. Another special thing about this is a single exposure image, which means that we have to take everything into consideration between our shadows and the moon. That's why we don't have a lot of detail in the moon in some of these shots. So talking about a photo like this in particular, a lot of my photography comes from just experiencing the world. I think that's why photos are special. They're not just pictures, but they're also like a moment in time. So for this photo, for example, this was shot in the dark in the fog. I didn't expect it to have as much color to come out. And also, when you're working in the fog, you have to shoot at a range so you can have things in the background condense and actually see the fog. So I was really surprised by the color and just, we had strong leading lines with the composition, and then it melted away into the fog, which just came for a beautiful image. This is another one of my favorite photos, and I actually had this photo for almost an entire year before I noticed that there was actually a second meteor in it. I think, one thing special about this photo is that I spent most of the night shooting the other direction and the clouds started to roll in. So I just turned the camera around to shoot at a different angle that had some clear sky, and I caught this pink and purple aurora that I hadn't spotted all morning, which was really just something special to see when it lit up on the back of the camera. We got really lucky last year with the Aurora Borealis in Oregon because it's not something that typically comes down. We've had a lot of strong solar storms, and last year we had two. This one was from spring last year, and it was the first time I ever saw Aurora. I remember when I drove out there and just seeing the faint shimmers out of the car. And when I got there were so many people in the parking lot. It was completely packed. Photos are partially a story, and this one was I think a lot of people's first time in Oregon seeing Aurora, including mine, and it was just so cool. We had this epic moon sunset kind of thing going on at the end too. So it was just a really picturesque scene, and people were just so excited. So it was an awesome experience. When working with photos at night, you get to really play with high contrast scenarios, like using the lighting from the dam here to contrast with the dark surroundings. And when you work with a nice mirrorless camera, you can really capture all the details still in the trees, which I think is something really special and important to do. And people get really heavy with noise reduction these days, and I'm really careful with it because I always want to preserve the details and all of the sharp little branches on the trees. So I started out like everyone else, I think, who gets into photography does, well, at least in our age, is we start on the phone. We start taking pictures of things we see and want to emulate things that are cool. And I think for me, I wanted to upgrade, I tried other cameras and they were cool and stuff, but I think for the unique kind of stuff I wanted to do at night or with starry landscapes I had to go to a modern camera, so I got a modern full frame camera. as well as a 35 to 150 lens, because I wasn't so experienced with photography, so I wanted to really have all the ranges at my disposal so I could really learn and practice and get used to things. Aside from that, going for a mono full frame camera was important for me, and I took the full step because the specific kind of stuff I did was low light landscapes, cities at night, and everything else I knew a general camera could handle well, but if I wanted to specialize in those things, I needed specialized equipment for it,